Have you ever gotten very crystal clear on what you would love to go for or create in your life? And then all of a sudden you got completely filled with fear on what others would think? Or maybe even someone close to you laughed or thought that what you were dreaming is completely ridiculous. Well, Kendall Ambrose, who I spoke with, had a similar experience. Why don't you listen to my conversation with her now? Kendall, can you tell me more about your experience as the general manager of a restaurant you had worked at previously and how that inspired your passion for marketing and creativity?
Yeah, so I grew up working in the restaurant industry and it instilled a lot of good values in me. But my most recent position in the restaurant industry, I started as a server there, and the owner of the business, it was called Pinky's. The owner, his name was Stephen DeRoffoli. He just really believed in me and was great at owning restaurants and just being a restaurateur in general. And I had taken some interest in marketing things. I loved creating graphics. I loved events. I loved photography, videography, all of that. And I just kind of asked him if I could take on some of those responsibilities for the company. And he was jazzed. He instantly said yes. And him and his wife kind of helped guide me on the path of being a creative for the company. I still was a general manager of the company at the time. So I was overseeing probably like 10 to 20 people daily, and running the restaurant kind of by his side. But he allowed me to run all the social media accounts for the company, host all kinds of events, anywhere from 30 guests to, I mean, we had a 2-day festival with 3,000 guests. So it was really cool that he empowered me in the way he did. And I learned so much about photography, videography, events, digital marketing, email marketing, all kinds of things in the marketing field. And it was a really great opportunity that I was very lucky to have.
Okay, wonderful. And was that your first experience in marketing and creative?
No, so I had known that I had an interest in it because I had a position before at an e-commerce company that I was working at. It was my first job out of college, and I had only worked there for a little over a year, but I started as a customer service representative, and then I noticed what the marketing person was doing, and I thought, wow, that was seemed very fun. It seemed very cool. It seemed like a creative outlet, and I've always been a very creative person. So I asked her if I could just kind of shadow under her, see what she does, learn a little bit about marketing. She said absolutely. So I would call myself a bit of a marketing assistant for probably 6 or 7 months prior to that. So I really didn't have much experience in it. I just knew that I loved it. And I'm really grateful for the owner of Pinky's for kind of just letting me take that forward and learn more in the space.
Making bold moves is essential for creating a life that you want and bringing in new results. Kendall asking her manager to believe in her and give her responsibilities outside of her job description was a bold move. Be sure to listen to more inspiring actions that Kendall took. So it sounds like you've already also been marketing yourself. I hear you're asking this boss, you're asking this
Yeah.
manager to really take on things, to shadow. So looking at you came out of college, you were working at the e-commerce
Mhm.
company. How come you changed from the e-commerce company to working at Pinky's?
So originally, I was only going to do it. I've been in restaurants forever, so I was only going to do it as a part-time job, but I ended up
Mhm.
just loving the environment so much, and I could tell how much I already loved the owner, Steven, and we just got along so well, and I could tell that I could learn a lot from being there. So I decided to, it was a big leap, but I decided to take a leap and leave a full-time career to go work in the restaurant just because I felt like it was right for me. My mother was terrified. She was like, "What are you doing? Leaving a steady career?" And I couldn't explain it, but I knew it was the right move for me. And being able to grow in that environment. I was there between 2021 and 2024 and started as a server and then very quickly worked my way up to general manager, the marketing, the head of all marketing there within the company. And it was just the best time. But making that move was scary for sure because you're leaving behind, you're losing the health insurance. It's a scary move, but I feel like when you know what you want to do and and you see firsthand what excites you, you have to do it. So,
Hmm. I love that you listened to yourself, even though some of those people closest to you
mhm.
might have been feeling afraid. Did anybody try to talk you out of doing that?
Not necessarily talk me out of it. I think my family and the people around me know I'm pretty headstrong. Um, so when I get my mindset on something, I'm gonna do it. I always used to say anything that a man can do, I can do in heels. So I am very big on if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. No one tried to talk me out of it, but there was worry. There was worry around it, and it was from people that loved me. It wasn't anything, there was no malice behind it. It was just I want to make sure that you are setting up a career path for yourself, that you have steady income, which, the restaurant industry, that's not always a promise. So I think it was nice to be able to grow in that space, but there was definitely a little bit of worry around it that I just had to continuously reassure my people that, it was the right path for me. And very shortly after I went on that path, they were able to see it. But yeah.
Well, and that's very common that when we go for something that we would love to go for,
Mhm.
if it's out of the norm, those closest to us, because they care about us
Yeah.
and they don't want us to get hurt, they may express worry and concern.
Yes.
And it is coming from a good place. But that
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean we shouldn't do it either, especially if there's something within us that's really encouraging us to move forward, which it sounds like that's what was happening in this situation for you.
Yes, definitely. I always say that I don't know how to explain it. There are some things I kind of just know. I guess it would be intuition, but it was one of those things where I just knew it was the right move. And I mean, you're completely right. There's the pushback only comes from a place of love, and the worry comes from a place of love. So I think it's important to stay true to what your intuition or your gut or whatever it is telling you. But it can be very difficult at times.
Yeah, what did you find was so difficult in that particular situation or even other situations that you
Yeah,
find yourself in that are similar?
I think I'm with the people, even though I'm very headstrong, I think with the people that I love most, I tend to be a bit of a people pleaser. So I think, I would call myself a recovering people pleaser. I feel like sometimes, even though it's my life, I focus a little more on external opinions or external views and things like that, and what other people are thinking of me more so than what I'm thinking of me. And I think sometimes it's a little difficult to kind of silence the noise and focus on what you know is going to be good for you. I think when I'm in a more negative mental spot in my life, it's a lot harder for me to do. But I think pushing through and kind of just persevering and understanding that you know best what you need is super important.
Hmm. Yes, that's very well put. And it is intuition that's
Mhm.
guiding us to to go for our dreams and to go for what our
Yeah.
purpose is here.
Yes.
So you mentioned that you're a recovering people person, which I love that term, but us as women, um, this is generally speaking, of course, but for generations, we've been taught to act a certain way. And we're the most recent generations are breaking those patterns. And hearing you say you're a recovering people person just really enforces that idea of growing in awareness of how we're behaving, what are our motives, and is this serving me or not? And if it's not, then choosing different, even when it's uncomfortable.
Yes. I could not agree more. I think it's hard to do, but it's a good skill to have to be able to choose yourself and what serves you.
So, what tools have you used to help you navigate the different feelings and your negative thoughts you mentioned? If you're not in space, outside opinions, what have you used? What kind of tools?
My biggest tool is therapy. I am the biggest therapy preacher that you'll ever meet. I think starting therapy, before I started it, I think there's so much stigma around it. And I think I was a little nervous to maybe admit something's wrong with me or I can't handle this stuff on my own. And I was lucky enough to have someone in my life that kind of broke that stigma for me. And I went and I mean, having a therapist that I see weekly, biweekly, however much it is, has truly changed my life. He's taught me all kinds of tools that, I mean, he helps me see things from a perspective that I would have never thought of on my own. And I think it's super important that it's something that is a non-negotiable for me. I have to go to therapy in order to be a good version of myself. I think when I don't, I fall into those negative spaces I was talking about. I'm diagnosed OCD. I have generalized anxiety disorder as well. So coupled, those are not fun things to have. So, tools more so just mindfulness, coupled with the therapy. I think just trying to stay present is very difficult, but it is very important, I think. So gratitude also, I would say mindfulness and gratitude are two of the biggest things. I think when start a gratitude practice, I think it brings into perspective just how good you have it. Or, I mean, I think when you start, you kind of look for things here and there of like, what was I grateful for today? And then the further you get into a practice like that, it's almost narrowing which items to pick. There's too many. Like you just start noticing them all the time. So I think gratitude, mindfulness, and therapy are definitely my biggest tools that I keep in the toolkit.
Having a structure of support is essential for creating a life that you love. When you are going for your dream and you're taking action to bring in new results, you're going to bump up against what we call your green growing edge. We all have a thermostatic setting on the results that we've brought into our life. This allows our brain to keep us in the familiar and in our comfort zone. So whenever we're taking bold action, we're getting out of our routine, fear, delay, doubts are going to rise up to dissuade us from going for our dream and keep us in the status quo. Kendall found a therapist who understands the mindset and gives her tools for navigating going for her dream. I am a certified coach and I understand what it takes to navigate and grow awareness to bring in results that you would love. If you would like to learn more, be sure to check out the website listed in the description. Let's keep listening. Yeah, those are all very, very helpful. And it's good to have a support system, someone that you really trust. And it's great to have a professional. It sounds like he's been very helpful to you to give you
Yeah.
those tools.
He has. I truthfully think that everyone could benefit from therapy. I think even if you don't feel like you have any type of mental disorders, I think that it's just a good way to kind of see the world in a different light and see the situations you're going through in a different light, no matter what you're going through, because everybody's going through something. No one gets through life unscathed. And I think it's super important to have that person, like you said. And when it's a therapist, it's great because they're, I mean, specifically trained for this stuff. They have so much experience and such a background of knowledge on things like this. So it just makes it a lot better. I think you have the right answers and, they equip you with the toolkit to help yourself. So I'm a huge therapy fan.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you found something that works well for you. That's very important. And now you have other dreams that you mentioned that are percolating. Anything that you'd like to share around that?
Yeah, I think ultimately a big dream of mine is just to be a full-time creative. I think it would be really nice to, everyone talks about this idea of entrepreneurship in terms of being your own boss, and I think that would be super cool, but the biggest thing would be kind of doing what I love every day in all kinds of different forms.
Mhm.
Um, I am reading a book right now called Tiny Experiments. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but
I
it,
haven't.
it's an amazing book. We're reading it for my book club at my current company. But basically, one thing that we just learned in this chapter is that a lot of people, they go through this life kind of searching for their purpose and finding their passion. And this book is detailing just there's not one singular passion and there's not one singular purpose. And if you stick to this
Mm.
idea that you have one purpose, you're going to miss all these really important things that are happening on the side. You're going to miss out on hobbies. You're going to miss out on potential other avenues you could take for a career. You're going to miss out on all kinds of things because you're chasing this one thing. And, I think it's kind of opened my eyes to the different avenues I want to take. When I say full-time creative, I want to make graphics. I want to do photography. I want to do videography. I want to build marketing strategies for companies. I want to, run social media accounts. Like there's so many things that I would like to do that not only can I not pick just one, but I've tried to do just one and I end up losing a little bit of that passion for it. I end up losing a little bit of love. Like I've tried to do just photography and going in and doing that, I think I lose a little bit of that passion because I'm not necessarily doing the photography that I want. I'm doing what my clients want and other people want. And while I love that, I also just want to be true to myself and I want to remain happy in a career. So I think ultimately goal would be a full-time creative, kind of jack of all trades in the creative sense.
Okay. Well, and you've also created your own TikTok account.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I have an autoimmune disease called celiac disease. So I am pretty much just allergic to gluten, is what I tell people. It's the easiest way for them to understand it. I created a TikTok page called Your Gluten-Free Bestie, and I travel a lot with my partner. So I just kind of post videos on different places I'm traveling, the gluten-free restaurants we go to. I also do reviews on certain things, like my partner for Christmas got me a subscription box, which is called Love Me Gluten Free, and it's a box that comes once a month with all kinds of new gluten-free snacks from around the US. And it's really cool. So I do reviews of things like that. I do unboxings, all kinds of really fun, relevant things in today, but it's a really fun outlet. It's a really fun way for me to still do the things I want to do and also contribute to my community. And I love my gluten-free community. So it's nice to be able to interact with them on a platform that I also use to just scroll and find fun videos and to decompress sometimes. I think it's fun to find an outlet there as well.
So what kind of impact have you found that has made to the community you mentioned?
I think that it's made a big one because I know firsthand traveling with celiac disease is really difficult. You never know if you can trust a place. I have it very severe, so I can't do any cross-contamination. So if you touch bread and then you go make my sandwich with gluten-free bread and you haven't changed your gloves or washed your hands, I can't eat that anymore. And it's really difficult because not a lot of people understand the severity of it. And seeing firsthand experiences from other people when I'm on social media, it is so helpful for me. And I feel a lot safer going out to that place. Anyone with celiac disease can understand that eating out is a very anxiety inducing experience. So I think I am trying to contribute in little ways to reducing that anxiety in a sense and show people this restaurant is very safe. This is what they do. This is the food I got. This is what it looked like. This is, like little things to kind of ease anxiety within my community. It's my favorite part of that.
And you mentioned that you have experienced anxiety yourself. So
Mhm.
easing that for other people, I imagine that is fulfilling.
It is very much so. I like taking my personal life into it a little bit. I think it helps with the content too, because I'm very genuine with what I say and I'm not going to put something out there that, could possibly endanger someone else and they could get really sick. And, I think my personal experiences ties into exactly what I'm doing. So I love doing that page. It's so fun.
Good. And how long have you been running that page?
So I only just started it in October. My partner and I went to Europe and we did Ireland, we did London, and we did Amsterdam. And I
Mhm.
just took so many fun food videos when we were there that I thought, why not share these? I mean, those are very common destinations that people travel to. So I wanted to make sure that people knew they could travel overseas with celiac and it's really not as hard as they would think. So that was very fun.
And what are some of your favorite gluten-free restaurants to go to here locally in the Richmond area?
Oh God, there's so many. My favorite of all time is Pinkies. Pinkies,
Okay.
Pinkies, Pinkies. Everything is or can be made gluten-free, and the fryer is dedicated. They are all very safe there. Everyone is thoroughly trained, front of house and back of house, so they are very aware of how to work with celiac disease. So Pinkies always. I have been loving the Roosevelt lately. Love the Roosevelt. I love Burton's. They're newer to the area and they are a chain, but I'm not usually a big chain girl, but they're so good. They're very good with gluten-free. So those are probably my top three at the moment in the area. Yeah.
So, Kendall, you said the role at Summit Human Capital also provides a very creative outlet for you. Can you share more about how the company culture and position as the brand community manager allows you to express your creativity?
Yeah, so right now I run the entire marketing department for the company, and I say I run it. That sounds really big. It's a team of one. It's only me, so I manage myself. But I think they provide me with such a creative outlet in terms of I'm able to, graphics are my favorite, and I'm able to make graphics all the time, anytime I want to. I have creative freedom in that sense. With photography and videography here, I kind of, some days I call them content days where I just walk around the office and just take pictures of everyone doing things, get video content. I think it's a great creative space for me, and I'm really grateful to the leadership that I have here that empowers that.
Wonderful. And any challenges that you faced in trying to create a creative career? I know you mentioned those two opportunities at Pinky's and the e-commerce company where you really took initiative and it panned out. Any challenges that you've had to work through?
If this was really a challenge, but I would say um, I was dating someone once where I kind of, I trusted them. So I confided in this goal of being a full-time creative while we were at dinner one night. And the response I got was, "What do you mean?" And I kind of explained more of like what I want to do and what that would kind of entail. And the response I got was, "Okay, but like, what's the real job? Like, what's your real plan?" And it's almost demeaning in a sense to get that and to be told, that's not possible. And hearing something like that at first, I was pretty upset and I took it pretty personally. And I was like, you know what? For a little bit, I was thinking about, you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe that's not possible. And maybe I should just figure out something that's more conventional and more, available. And I got a little down on myself for a while. And then after that, after that little period, I kind of realized that it didn't really make me sad. It kind of motivated me more to get to the spot I wanted to be because I felt like I want to prove that this is possible and I want to prove that I can do this. And I mean, with the rise of all kinds of content creators all over the world nowadays with social media at our fingertips and, people that do this for a living, I've seen it. I've seen that it is possible. And I think seeing is believing in a sense. And also I just need to go back to, the feeling of knowing what's right for you. And regardless of what someone outside is telling you, even if you feel like you trust them, you respect them, and you respect their opinion, that doesn't mean that it's right for you specifically either. So that was probably the biggest challenge that I faced in this. I really kind of took it to heart for a while. And after getting through kind of that sadness around it, I realized how untrue it was. And, I just I needed to work harder myself to get there and not let the outside opinions bother me and get to me.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And it sounds like it was a really great opportunity for you to go inward and explore, do I want this to define what I do? And how important is this? And you know what? I'm actually going to use this as motivation. So I love that you turn that around and are using that to power you to do something that you love. You deserve that. We all deserve to live lives that we love. Yeah, and I mean, I run Elysian Staffing, which places creative and marketing talent, and there's plenty of creative and marketing roles. So there, people can do very, very well with creative careers.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, again, just the boom in the industry right now with content creators becoming full-time career paths.
So, is there anything else that you would like to share with our viewers today?
My biggest thing is always just listen to your gut. And I think that that's anyone that, has anxiety or OCD can attest that sometimes that's hard because your gut could be saying incredible, weird things. But it's really important that if you know what's right for you, that you stick to that and you stick on that path for no one else other than you. Because I mean, what's the point of a life without passion and trusting yourself? And, I think it's super important that you just listen to whatever inside of you is saying. If it's pounding, if it's always there, listen to it and do it. It doesn't matter what your family thinks. It doesn't matter what your boss thinks. It doesn't matter what your partner thinks. They might think you're all crazy, but you have to trust yourself and do it. I think that's the most important part of life, and you get the most reward. Even if you quote unquote fail, I don't believe in failure. I think if you learn something, it's not a failure. You're learning something in the next time that you try this thing. So if you go out and do what your gut says and you don't necessarily make it the first time, try again. And you don't necessarily make it the second time, try again and use what you learned the first two times. And I just think it's super important to stay true to yourself, especially in the creative space.
If you enjoyed the inspiration by listening to Kendall's story, be sure to check out this video on comfort zone and how important it is to break free of it so that you don't feel stuck. Because you deserve to live a life that you absolutely love. You can do it. I believe in you.